friends, like we heard earlier, there are just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of scriptures that deal with compassion in Scripture. Would you join me as we read through Colossians chapter 3, verses 12 through 17. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness and humility, gentleness and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you are called to peace, and be thankful. Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom, through psalms and hymns and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts. And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. Amen. The best, I'll tell you when, okay? The best laid plans, sometimes, you all know what happens to the best laid plans. They just fall by the wayside sometimes. And you're going to see me use the podium back here a little more. And I am really hot, Warren. Can we turn me down just a little bit? Thank you. There will be people in the audience who thank you for that too. Everybody turn and say thank you, Warren. Thank you, Warren. Anyway, gosh, the fourth week of our month in love and compassion. How many of you have really kind of enjoyed this month where we've talked about that? Oh, good. Well, the good news is those of you who didn't raise your hand, next week we move on to something else. But really, this month is really important because the first month I was here, we talked about the church being the church at worship, which is loving God. And this month we've talked about the church being compassionate, which is how we are called to love one another. In fact, we've said it, and I'll be honest, I don't know that it was said last week, so you get this much grace from me for not remembering, but if you remember, help me out here. Compassion is simply love in action. See, you don't even have to feel guilty. You got it right away. So I'm going to appeal now to your younger self. How many of you have a younger self? Oh, good. So as part of my younger self, I grew up loving, and you don't turn this microphone on, okay? Because it might blow up with my microphone and this one, and nobody would like that very much. But in my younger days, I really enjoyed one set of characters a whole lot. In fact, there are two sets of characters that you will see me pull my great theology from. And the first and foremost, although it's not today's subject, is the Peanuts gang. Charlie Brown and Snoopy and Linus. You all know those guys, and you will see those come to my sermons. But today I want to share another one of my theological genius friends, and that's Winnie the Pooh. I know some of you are going, we came to church and he's telling us Winnie the Pooh. Yep. There's a story about Winnie the Pooh. He's walking along the river and he looks out, and as he looks out at the river, he sees that poor grumpy Eeyore. The poor guy who is always depressed and he talks like this. And he sees and he sees Eeyore floating by in the river. He's on his back, and it's really obvious that there could be a real problem here. Because, I don't know if you know it or not, but stuffed toys sink. Some of you are going to go fill your bathtub with a stuffed toy, aren't you? Just to see if I'm telling the truth. Pooh looks out and he calls to Eeyore, and it's not even like he's really disturbed. He looks out there and he says, "Eeyore, did you fall in?" Eeyore, trying to appear in complete control, because, we all like to be in control, with just a bit of anguish in his voice, replies, "Silly of me, wasn't it?" Pooh overlooks his friend's pleading eyes and remarks, "Well, Eeyore, you really should have been more careful." In greater need than ever, Eeyore politely thanks Pooh for the advice, even though he really needs some action more than advice by this time. Almost with a yawn, Pooh Bear points out, "I think you're sinking." With that as his only hint of hope, drowning Eeyore asks Pooh if he would mind rescuing him. So Pooh pulls him out of the water. Eeyore then apologizes for being such a bother in his depressed tone, and Pooh, still unconcerned, yet ever so courteous, responds, "Don't be silly. You should have said something sooner." Do any of you see yourself in this story? How often do we look at the situation around us and go, in our most prophetic and caring tone, somebody should do something? Any of you ever say that? Somebody should do something. It's true. Somebody should do something. The problem is, that somebody might be us. Do you ever react like Pooh when someone's in need? Do you point out the obvious? Gosh, those kids look hungry. Somebody should do something. Here's my favorite. I see kids walking to school at some point. My favorite comment is sometimes, "Do those children not have a mother?" Don't tell me you've never said anything like that. Those kids, it's 12 degrees below zero, and they're wearing shorts. And a tank top. Someone should do something. We're driving down the road. We get to that intersection, and there's one person in each side of the corner, either with the sign or with the bag, saying, "Can you help me today?" And we say, someone should do something. Let me ask you another question. Somehow have we come to the conclusion that it's our job to make other people beg for help? I wonder about that, because oftentimes I see the world making people beg for help. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty of that. I'm one of those people. I drive up, and there are times when I will engage the people in conversation, but more often than not, I just pray that the light changes faster. And I avert my eyes so I don't have to look at them. And yet, over and over and over again, we've seen this month this push for compassion. In fact, this month, I hope that you've learned something about the Bible. I know some of you thought you had learned everything that you knew that you needed to know about the Bible. But in this month, listen to these words about compassion that you've heard. Matthew 9. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Matthew 14. When Jesus landed and saw the large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. Matthew 15. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, I have compassion for these people. They've been with me for 3 days and have had nothing to eat. Let's feed them. Matthew 20. Jesus had compassion on them and he touched their eyes, and immediately they received their sight and followed Jesus. But that's not the end of the stories in the Bible about compassion. I want to share with you real briefly. Heck, I'm way ahead of schedule here. This is good. I won't have to do it quite so fast. I already cut 2 pages out, so it's about as good as it's going to get. How many of you know that story called The Prodigal Son? We know that story, right? But I'm going to tell you, there is a part of that story that we just gloss over like it's not even there. How do I know? Because I'm guilty of it. And I've read this story at least once a year, every year for as long as I can remember. And this week I've read it for the next 5 years, at least. We know this story. A man had 2 sons. One was older, one was younger. There's no theological debate about that. The younger one comes to him and says, Dad, give me my share of the inheritance. I want to leave town. Dad says, here you go, son. Have fun. And he did. And he went out and he wasted his father's money, it says, on riotous living. Yeah, riotous. That's King James. He went out and had a really good time. And then he ran out of money. You know what happens when your college kids run out of money? They come home. Or, kind of in my case, I just moved in with them. Well, the bad news is, the good news is, they have more money than I do. So, but the son realizes he can't just go back. So he prepares a speech. It's a lovely speech. Oh, Dad, I've been so bad. Terrible. I wasted all your money. I'm not worthy of your last name. Well, we would say that. I'm not worthy to be called your son. Just let me live with the servants and I'll work outside. I mean, this is a guy who just spent his time slopping hogs. Any of you ever slop a hog? All right. Some of you have slopped a hog. None of you are Jewish. Slopping hogs, and if you're Jewish, is bad. You think it's bad for those of us who are Protestant. And the reality is, it didn't matter what your religion was, slopping hogs stinks. That really wasn't open for interpretation either. It just smells bad. I don't care how many people tell me hogs are clean animals. They stink. But they do make good bacon. Priorities, you know. So he goes back to Dad. And this is the part that's really important today. We all know how that father reacted, right? Said, "Don't you dare come home. I don't have any place in life for you." No, that's what we would say. Sorry. Now, he says, as the son was approaching home, his father, who was at the window, at the gate, looking out, hoping and waiting and desiring his son to come home, saw him a long ways off. And he ran out with compassion. And we've never read that line. We never read the compassion part. He was filled with compassion. He ran to his son and threw his arms around him and kissed him. This man who smelled like pig and sweat from the journey. You see, Jesus wants us to know that our God, our Father in heaven, has a compassionate heart. And we know that because he sent Jesus for us. And then there's this text from Colossians. I love it. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion. Do you notice what's first in the list? And all of my Bible professors from junior high through seminary have said, when Paul writes a list, that which is listed first is most important. Don't you wish having a heart of compassion was as easy as taking on and putting on a coat? Wouldn't you like to be able to wake up every morning and look in your closet and say, hey, there's my compassion coat. I'm going to wear it today. Here's my patience jacket. No, I'm not wearing it today. You see, Paul says, put on compassion like your coat. What a testimony it would be, huh? If wherever you went, people looked at you and said, there goes that person who's the most compassionate person we know. Just so you know, there are 3 things you can do about being compassionate. The first is you can just ignore everyone and every need. Secondly, we can see the need and even make the comment, someone should do something. Or thirdly, we can have compassion and do something. One of my favorite movies is Forrest Gump. And Forrest Gump's a little boy, and he's in his braces, goes to get on the school bus. He gets on the bus and the bus driver says, sit anywhere you want. And he's going down and every person, oh, this seat is taken. This seat is taken. You can't sit here until he gets to the person he describes as having the voice of the most beautiful angel. And Jenny says, you can sit here. When it comes to compassion, when we think about being compassionate, who do we want to be? When we first started this series, I said there are two options. We can be like this or like this. We can hold on to everything out of our own fear, or we can share our very lives. And Jesus said, be compassionate. Amen. All right, praise team, you have double duty today. Well, I don't know if it's double duty because it's really only one additional song. Haven't they done good today? Yeah. You know, all that special music out there. Being compassionate is about surrendering who we are to the one we call our God. Our hymn of invitation today is I Surrender All. And I invite you as we stand together to sing this to consider what you need to surrender so that all might be given to God. If you need to make the great confession and be baptized, we invite you to come forward. If you want to make First Christian Church your church home, we invite you to transfer your worship here while we stand and sing the song. Let's stand together. All to Jesus.